Hey guys, welcome to episode 2 of my How to Become a Software Engineer series. Today we're going to be learning about the basics of HTML, which is the building blocks of every website you've ever visited. HTML is very important to know when you're trying to become a software engineer because it pretty much is the skeleton of websites and it acts as like a skeleton. It acts as the actual structure of your website. So HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. It pretty much tells the browser that, hey, this is a website and these are the things that I want you to display on the actual screen to the user. Now, again, like I said, you could think of HTML as the skeleton of the website. So it's the structure underneath everything. So under the styling, the functionality, the logic that you see on the websites is HTML. Um, the cool thing about HTML is that HTML pages are mainly made up of elements which are written in tags. So, for example, this right here is considered an element. So this is an element. This is a closing element to this element up here. So when you have a lesser than sign and then the name of the element and then a greater than sign, that's pretty much telling the browser that, hey, this is an actual element, and inside this element is going to be content that I want you to display to the user that's viewing everything. So right here, I have just a simple basic HTML file. I created a file called index.html, so you can do the same thing. Once you make the index.html file on your computer, you're just going to open it up using VS Code. And in VS Code, it's going to show your code nicely like this. This is one of the default styles, I believe, for VS Code. And then if you want to view this actual HTML page, all you're going to do is come over here, right click, and you're going to press copy path. You're going to copy path and then put it into the Google Chrome browser right over here, just like that. So now you should have this open to your index.html file, and then you should have this open, which should be blank and not showing anything because we haven't put anything yet in our file. Now in my file, I have a few things so far, but I'm gonna tell you what everything here means. So we're gonna first start with the doc type. So as you can see, we have a lesser than sign, exclamation point, and then doc type, and then HTML, and then a closing tag here. So this primarily is telling the browser that, hey, this document type or this type of file that you're opening, it pretty much tells it that it's a HTML document. It's telling the web browser that this is a actual website that you're displaying to users. So that's all this means. Putting this at you're supposed to put this at the very top of your HTML page, and it pretty much gives you all the different features of HTML. It's going to allow the web browser to be efficient in showing your HTML website and giving you all the features that come with HTML. Next, we have the HTML element. So this is the HTML element, and this is very important. So everything in your website is going to go in between this opening tag or this opening element and then this closing element right here. So the way HTML works, as you can see, I already explained the elements, but we have a opening element like so. So this is opening, and then we have a closing element, or you could say opening tag and closing tag. So with certain elements, it might have what's called attributes. So this lang attribute, it pretty much extends the functionality and the features of said element that you're using. So when I have HTML and then lang equals English right here, that's telling the browser that this web page is built using HTML. I mean, not HTML, it's built using the English language. So if you wanted Spanish, you would put Spanish in this attribute, but we're English speaking over here. So we're going to make sure that our website is appropriate for people that speak English in their country. And so we had a lang attribute, and then we have it where it equals to en, which stands for English. So that's what that means. This is very important to have in all HTML documents. Next, we have the head element. So you have the opening head and then the closing head. So the head element pretty much contains the settings of the website. And it contains the actual title of the website. And when I mean title, I mean what's shown up here. So right now we have index.html. If I come over here and say title, so I'm going to open up a title element and then have a closing title element. I'm going to put my first website. And then I'm going to come over here, press save, and then refresh the file. And now you see we have my first website. So pretty much this is what the head element is for. It's for pulling in your style sheets, which is your styling. It's used for titles. It's used for metadata, which metadata is for adding certain information about your website that the browser or even search engines can use to display your website in search engines. So metadata is really important. We're going to get into that a little bit later. But this is what the head element is for primarily. So I definitely want you guys to write the opening title element and just put whatever you want. My first website, hello world, whatever you want in between this opening element and closing title element. Next, this is where all the fun really happens, and it happens in the body. So this is the body element, and this contains everything that will be visible on the page. So everything that's going to be visible on this browser over here is going to be put in our body element, okay? So to give you an example, we're going to go into headings, okay? And we're going to write our first heading. So I'm going to say H1, which is heading 1, and this is the biggest heading that HTML comes with. I'm just going to say hello world. And then what I'm going to do is write in the tiniest little text, H6, which is real tiny. And I'm going to say this is a website. Okay. I'm going to come over here, press save and refresh. Boom. There we go. So what we have here is actual elements that your user can see. Okay. So under this body, if I was to put this code in the head element, it's going to mess everything up. But if I put it in the body section, now it's going to show on the actual web page. And the cool thing about this is that this is pretty much telling your browser that, hey, this is what I want you to display to the user that comes to my website. So these are headings right here. So you have heading 1, then you have heading 2, like so. I'm just say heading 2. And then you have heading 3, and then so forth and so on. It goes up to 6. So I'm just going to show you the differences of the sizing real quick. Bear with me. And then lastly, I'm going to say H5, heading 5. Boom. So now we're going to go over here, press save. And now you guys can see how small the text gets. So the text is really small here with that H6 tag, and then it goes all the way up to the H1. Okay. Now keep in mind, this all can be styled with another language called CSS, but we'll go over that in another video very soon. The next thing I want to show you is links. Okay. So have you ever been on a website and you've seen like buttons or links that takes you to another website? So the way that we make that is, you know, say A, which stands for anchor, is an anchor tag, href. And in your href attribute, this is where you're going to put the actual link to the website that you want to take the user to. So I'm just going to say https, let's say youtube.com. Okay, so that's the link. That's when a person clicks my link here, they're going to be sent to https youtube.com. Okay, so I'm just gonna say YouTube website. I'm gonna press save, refresh, and now we got YouTube website. So now if I click this, it's gonna take me directly to YouTube. That's if there we go. So now I'm on YouTube. So if I come back, you'll see that the link changes color. And that's because now the browser knows that, hey, in my browser history, I came to the YouTube website already. So I'm going to mark this link right here a certain color just to be able to tell that, hey, this is a link that you've been to before. Okay? So that's how that works. Now we're going to go for something even cooler. I'm going to show you guys how to use images. So I'm going to say img source, and I'm going to say image.jpg, JPEG. And then I'm going to say alt equals n image. Okay. And I'm going to close this element, but do you notice how with this element, I don't have another closing element like so? That's because with this image element, nothing needs to go in between the actual element itself. So I don't need to come in here and say image and then yada, yada, yada. I don't need to do that. I can come here and mark the source as image.jpg with a alt or just a title. It's the attribute, but it's the title, which is an image. Okay. Now I can also add a height. I want this image to be 150 pixels. And then I want the width to be 150 pixels as well. So pretty much it'll be 150, 150 across the board. Now, I'll be right back because I'm going to go ahead and find an image that'll be suitable for this video, and then I'll come back and show you guys how it looks. Alrighty guys, so I am back. I was able to find a nice image to show you guys. So now what I did was I went and grabbed my image and I put it right next to that index.html file. Now in this file, we have a image element, and the source of that image is image.jpg, and the title of it, and this is also used for accessibility purposes too, but the title of it is an image, and then I made the height 150 pixels and the width 150 pixels. And now on my website here, we have an image. It's a cool little image. It's just a car, something very simple. Now if I come over here and say 250, and I'm going to say 350 here, I can make the image bigger. Boom. So there we go. So this is actually a very huge image, but with HTML, we're able to manipulate the actual sizing of it. Really cool stuff. So that's images. Now the next thing that I'm going to show you is list elements. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to make a unordered list. So UL, and then I'm going to make a list item, LI. And in this list item, I want to put, let's say, link 1. And I'm going to come down here, list item. I'm going to say link, link 2, just like that. I'm going to press save and I'm going to refresh. Boom. Now you see here, we have a unordered list, meaning that this list is not in any correct order. Okay. So you can put whatever type of content that you want. For example, if I come up here and I want to put this image there and paste it there, press save. Guess what? Now we have a list image, a list item that has an image inside of it. Let's say, for example, I want to put this link in there too. I'm going to show you that. Go down here, press save again. And now we have a list item that has a viewable link that we can go to. Now today, the last basic thing that I'm going to show you guys, and this is really, really important, is divs or divisions. So divs are really cool. They're very, very well, you can manipulate a div. You can change its size, styling, height, whatever. You can do whatever you want with a div. So I'm gonna come over here with a div. I'm gonna put, this is a really cool section. I'm gonna press save. And that's it. So in your div, the primary objective of using a div is putting in content in this division, or you can think of it as a section on your website. And you can manipulate this div to make it any height, any width. You can manipulate the content that's inside of it with CSS code. And the way that you would manipulate this with CSS code, which we will go over very soon, is by coming in here and adding a class to it. Okay, so I'm going to call this class section, and then I'm going to press save. And if you refresh the page, nothing happens. But what we're doing here is assigning a class to this div, meaning there will be other sections on the page. And if we apply CSS code to this one section, this class called section, it'll add that same styling effects to each and every element that has the class of section. Now, let's say, for example, if I want to only target this one div, come over here, put in an ID, and I'm going to say unique section. Okay, so now I've given this div a unique ID, an ID that no other element on the page can have. This is a unique ID, and when I'm using JavaScript or using CSS code, it will only target the ID or the element with the ID of unique section. Really cool stuff. Very simple, and it's stuff that if you take it and you continue to make projects with it, you continue to mess around with, the different elements and things of that nature, all of this stuff, you will definitely get the hang of this. I am very confident that whoever is watching this, you will get the hang of this. Like, it's awesome stuff. Another thing to keep in mind is that you can add a class or an ID to elements like unordered lists, list items, images, links, headings, paragraphs. The P element is paragraph. I can't spell today. Paragraphs. So like if I press save, come over here, paragraphs. So that's what the P element is for. Now, when it comes to class, section, and ID, and again, these are two attributes. These are considered attributes. You only put attributes such as class, ID, href, source, alt, height, width, all the above in your opening element tag. So only in the opening element tag do you put attributes inside of. You never put them inside of the closing tag. So for example, you don't come down here and try to put class equals. No, you don't do that. It's not going to have an effect on anything. You only put it right here in that opening tag. And that's about it. So now this was just a little overview, a little basic overview of HTML, but there is so much to HTML. If you guys wanted me to teach you everything about HTML, we'll be here for days. Like, it's a lot, but what I'm going to do is leave some links down below that you can, read and learn more about HTML. I definitely recommend that you watch this video and then go and look at the links. Look at the links, study some, build you a web page. a simple web page. If you followed along with what I did, this is your first web page. Now just think how cool you are for building this website. Totally cool. You've learned something new. So in our next video, we'll be going over CSS, which is the styling programming language. We'll go over that, and then I'll show you guys how to actually style your own website. So if you have any questions or concerns or anything like that, please don't hesitate to email me or comment down below. I'm definitely here to help you out. And I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.